Hi, so this session is on calculating the perimeter of part of a circle. We have looked at calculating the circumference of a circle. So circumference is the perimeter of a full circle. But now what happens when we have, for example, a quarter or half of a circle? So let's just go through some examples. Now just to recap, we know to calculate the circumference of a circle, we can either use circumference is equal to pi times d, or we can use 2 pi r, or 2 times pi times r. So there's times in between everything. And we know that these two formulas are the exact same thing. It just depends on whether you have the diameter of a circle or whether you have the radius. And we know the radius is half of the diameter. So if you just want to stick with this one, just make sure you double your radius. Okay, and what I usually do is I always label it. I have the diameter here, I have the radius, so it reminds me. Okay, so now, what do we do if we have something like this? So I have part of a circle. So we can see this is half of a circle or a semicircle. And we can see that we still have the curved part here, part of that circle that we have to work out. And then we have this line here. And this line is in this case, the diameter. What if we have a part of a circle that looks like this? So imagine we cut a pizza slice. And that 90-degree angle indicates it's a quarter, okay? So it's a right angle. So now with this part of the circle, we have the curved part here, which would be a quarter of the circle, plus this line here and that line there. Now, this is the center of the circle. So if I drew my whole circle, no, it's not accurate, but as best as I could, we can see that these two lines are actually the same length, and it is the radius, okay? And we know that we can have many more than one radius and also diameters. So let's just do some examples. So with this circle, we can see that we are given the length of the diameter, and we've got to work out this perimeter. So we've got to work out the curved part, which is part of the circle, and we'll do that bit first. So you still use the exact same formula. So circumference of a circle is equal to, because I have the diameter, I'm going to use pi times d. And I'll fill it in. Circumference is, we know pi is just a number. So pi times the diameter is 10. Now, on my calculator, if I put that in, so shift pi times 10, I've got 31.4159 and so on. So 31.41, I'll round it off to 2 decimal places, but I'm not going to just use this one. I'll use what's on my calculator to add it on. So now what we have here is the circumference of what? Half a circle or a full circle? We have a circumference of a full circle. So we have the whole circle, but the problem is we don't have a full circle. What do we have? We only have half. And to halve something, we know to halve something, you either times it by a half or you divide it by 2. So it's your choice what you want to do. I'm just going to divide it by 2. So my next step is to divide the circumference, the full circle, by 2, and I'll be left with half of that circle. Now I'm going to use what's on my calculator, because like I said, I rounded off here so you can see what what result I got. But don't use 31.42. Use the long decimal on your calculator for a more accurate answer. So I'll divide by 2 what's on my calculator. And now I end up with, I end up with 15 point, I'll round it up to 2 decimal places, 0.71. So I've got this result not using this one, but using what was on my calculator. And I have found half of my circle. But have I found the full perimeter of this shape? No, we found this part here, the curved part. Don't forget to add on this line here. And that line is a length of 10. So all we're going to do now is plus 10 to that. So plus 10. And finally, our answer is this. I'll just write it up here because I haven't got room. Now, instead of circumference, I'm going to put P for perimeter because we don't really have a circumference anymore. It's a half a circle. So P is equal to 25.71. And our units are meters. And that's it. So it's actually really easy. You just use the same formula. In this case, we had to halve it to get the curved part here and add on the diameter. Let's try another example. Now with this circle, I'll put a right angle in here because usually you have a right angle. What part of a circle do we have? If I draw a full circle, we can see that it is a quarter. And that right angle indicates that that's the center of the circle. So at that corner, we have the center of the circle. So that means this line here is a radius, and also this line here is a radius, which is why they have the same length. Now, we'll do the exact same thing. We'll use a formula to calculate the circumference of a circle. So C is equal to, this time I'm going to use 2 pi r because I have the radius. So 8 is the radius. So circumference is equal to 2 times pi times 8, and I'll put it on my calculator, and I end up with, I'll just show you what I've got, so 50.2654. I'll just round it off here, so 27. But once again, I'm not going to use this number here, I'll use what's on my calculator. Now this here is a full circle. What part of a circle do we have? We have a quarter. To figure out the quarter of something, all you have to do is divide it by 4. Because a quarter, just say a quarter of 20, as an example, of means times, we end up with a quarter times 20, or 20 over 1, which ends up becoming 20. 1 times 20 is 20, 4 times 1 is 4, and 20 divided by 4 in this case is 5. So all we're going to do is divide this number by 4, but I'll use what's on my calculator to find the quarter, to find that part of the circle. So I'll divide what's on my calculator by 4, and I end up with, I end up with, I'll squeeze it here, 12.57 to 2 decimal places. Okay, so this measurement here is just this part of the circle. What else do I have to add on? I have to add on this line here, which is 8 meters, and also this line here, which is 8 meters. Add it on to 12.57, and we're done. So I'll just clear the page. So once again, we have found this part of our circle, which is 12.57 meters, rounded off. So our final answer is, I'm going to put P for perimeter now, because it's no longer the circumference of a circle, it's a different, we've got a line here and a line here. So I've got 12.57 plus 8 plus 8, and I'm done. So plus 8, and I end up with 28.57 meters to 2 decimal places. And that's it. So always check and see what part of a circle you have. If you had, for example, something like this, and I'm not good at drawing, but I'll do my best. Okay, if you had that part of a circle, what part of a circle do you have? You have 1/4, 2/4, and 3/4 of a circle. So if you had a circle like this, you would have 3/4 of and whatever measurement you calculated. So you have 3 divided by 4 times whatever you end up with. So this one's like this, you'll have to go 3 divided by 4, or times by 0.75. Okay, so just try a few examples from your textbook and